All right, 7th grade. Well, we're continuing right along here in chapter 6 with percents and so forth. And just one set of directions that you're going to be looking at, but a variety of different problems that you might have to adjust and think about things a little bit differently depending on the problem. But the directions tell us to write and solve a proportion to answer the question. So we're going to have to set up a proportion, and then we're going to kind of figure it out. So first of all, we have what number is 30% of 90? What number is 30% of 90? Well, first of all, we can set up a proportion because we know we have 30%. Now, percent, remember, means per 100. So if I have 30%, I know that that's 30 out of 100. So 30 out of 100 is what percent of 90? Well, 90 is the whole what? It's asking what number is 30%. So 90 is the whole group. So it's going to be x over 90. Now there's a variety of different things that I can do. I always find it easier to work with smaller numbers. And so if I can simplify this fraction, I like to do that, okay? So I see that they both end in 0, so they're both divisible by 10. 30 divided by 10 equals 3. 100 divided by 10 equals 10. So this 3/10 is just 30 over 100 in simplest form. So I'm going to cross that out. That's not even there anymore. Now I have x over 90 equals 3 over 10. So, well, I can do a variety of different things now. I could say, well, I did, what I would think about is I'd say, well, what did I do to 10 to get 90? And, well, I did 10 times 9. So if I did 10 times 9 to get 90, I would have to do 3 times 9. 3 times 9 is 27. So that tells me that x equals 27. We'll show some other ways that you can solve the problem as well. 69 is 75% of what number? 69 is 75% of what number? So once again, first of all, we have 75%, so we know that that's going to be 75 over 100, okay? And then 69 is the 75%, so 69, okay, is going to go over x because I don't know what the total is. The 69 is the 75%. Once again, I always find it easier to put things in simplest form. Okay, 75 and 100, I know that those are both divisible by 25. Okay, so 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4. Okay, so now I have, if I want to just erase the 75 over 100, and I'm going to go ahead and put my 3/4 a little closer there. 3/4 equals 69 over x. Well, I can say, well, what did I do to 3 to get 69? Well, I multiplied it by something. But if I take 3 into 69, 3 goes into 6 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. Drop the 9. 3 can go into 9 3 times. I know there's none left over because 3 times 3 is 9. So I see that I did 3 times 23. Well, if I did 3 times 23 to get 69, I have to do 4 times 23 to get that number there. So I come over here, I do 23 times 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Put the 2 down, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I find that x equals 92 is my final answer. Not too bad. 220% of 180 is what number? 220% of 180 is what number? Well, first of all, I have 220%. So I know that that's going to be 220 over 100. And it's 220% of 180. So 180 is the total group, which means that 180 is the 100%. All right, so let's kind of think about that here. All right, first of all, let's go ahead and simplify. 220 over 100. I see that they both end in 0, so I can divide those both by 10. 220 divided by 10 is 22. 100 divided by 10 is 10. I see that these are both even numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and divide again by 2. 22 divided by 2 is 11. 10 divided by 2 is 5, so I get 11 over 5, which means that I end up with, if I rewrite it over here, x over 180 equals 11 over 5. Well, okay, so we just keep going. Now I ask myself, well, what did I do to 5 to get 180? Well, I know I multiplied, but I don't know what I multiplied by. So we're going to come over here, 5 going into 180. 5 can go into 18 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. 18 minus 15 is 3. Drop my 0. 5 can go into 30 6 times. I know there's none left over because 5 times 6 is 30. So I did 5 and I multiplied that by 36. That gave me 180. So I have to do 11 times 36. So if I come over here, 11 times 36, 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 1 is 6, drop the 0, 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 1 is 3. I go ahead and add those together. 6 and 0 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, nothing plus 3 is 3, 396. X equals 396. All right, moving right along. What number is 35% of 7/8? Well, this one's a little bit different now because we have a fraction. What number is 35% of 7/8? So first of all, 35 over 100 of 7/8. 7/8 is the total group. So I'm going to do something that Mr. Swack would typically say not to do, and that's to put a fraction in a fraction. But for the purpose of the proportion, it'll make it a little simpler to understand. The 7/8 is the whole group. That's why that's going to be 100%. And so, well, it just looks kind of weird, but that's okay. I want to simplify this. This ends in 5, this ends in 0. So as a 7th grader, you should realize that that is going to be divisible by 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 100 divided by 5 is going to work out to be 20. So I end up with 7 over 20. So if I come over here, now I've got 7 over 20 equals x over 7/8. Now, I'm going to just show you another way to do something, just for the sake of showing you another way. Another way is what we call cross multiplying, which essentially means that these two numbers right here, which in this case are 7 and 7/8, if I multiply those together, which I will, 7 over 1 times 7 over 8 equals 7 times 7 is 49. 1 times 8 is 8. That 49 over 8 has to equal the same thing as 20 times x. So that leaves me with a little equation of 20 times x, because these two multiplied together have to equal the same as those two multiplied together. That's the idea. So 20 times x equals 49 over 8, which means essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking 49 over 8 and I'm dividing it by 20. I am taking 49 over 8 and I am dividing that by 20 over 1. Now let's remember my rules of dividing fractions. I'm just going to turn this into a multiplication sign and I'm going to make the reciprocal of 20 over 1, which means that what it's going to become, if you look to the left, it's going to become 49 over 8 times 1 over 20. And that's what's going to happen there. All right? 49 times 1 is 49. 8 times 20 is 160. 8 times 2 is 16. Add the 0, 160. 49 over 160. that is in simplest form. I'm ready to move on. 0.8 is what percent of 40? 0.8 is what percent of 40? Okay, well, here's something that looks a little bit different. So first of all, we have 0.8. All right, so we're going to have 0.8, and it's 0.8 out of 40. All right, and it says is what percent of? So it's going to equal x over 100, because I don't know what percent is, but percent is 100. So the percent of 0.8 out of 40 is the same as what x is out of 100. Now, I always recommend trying to get rid of the decimal, which means I'm going to take the decimal and move it one place to the right. But remember mathematically what I'm doing when I do that. I'm actually multiplying by 10. So if I multiply the 0.8 by 10 to end up with 8, then I have to take the 40 times 10, which means take a decimal in 40, move it one place, and end up with a 0. I end up with 400. Now I'm saying, okay, well, what did I do to 100 to get 400? Well, I multiplied it by 4. So what I did something to x, and that's multiply it by 4 to get 8. Well, what times 4 is 8? Well, 2 times 4 is 8. X equals 2. Last one. 210% of 90 is what number? 210% of 90 is what number? Well, once again now, we get 210 out of 100, because that's the 210%. 90 is the total group. Okay, that's the 100%. We're trying to figure out what the 210% would be, which would be next to the 210. Once again, I'm going to simplify. I'm going to divide by 10. They both end in 0. 210 divided by 10 is 21. 100 divided by 10 is 10. So I end up with 21 over 10 equals x over 90. Well, that's not bad, because I just do 10 times 9 to get 90, which means then I have to do 21 times 9. Well, what's 21 times 9? Well, if I come over here and I do 21 times 9, 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, I get 189. X equals 189. All right. We'll talk to you later, 7th graders. Bye.